Hi, it's Sylvester, here to answer some more random questions. Today I'm getting these questions from a website called learnhip.com/randomq/. First question is, how do you discover new music? Usually I get recommended new music by the YouTube algorithm, and also I follow a number of artists on Instagram, and so when they drop new music, I'll often hear about it that way and give it a listen. I try to keep an open mind when it comes to stuff that younger generations are listening to, modern music. I don't want to be one of those old people who's just stuck in his ways and refuses to listen to new music and refuses to acknowledge that anything made nowadays might be good. Like, I don't want to be like, back in my day, music was good, and nowadays it's all just noise. Like, I don't want to be that guy, I want to keep an open mind, and I want to be able to give new music a chance. And I really do enjoy a lot of modern music. I do. So, for people who think that modern music is terrible and will never be as good as music was back in your day, I say just give it a chance. You never know. There's all types of music being made nowadays, so maybe you're just listening to the wrong kind of music, but I swear, if you look into it, you'll find good music. I guess that's subjective. What you think is good music is different than what I think is good music, but I think there's good music being made nowadays. Next question. What's the best car you've ever driven or had a ride in? I think the nicest car I've ever driven was probably the Chevy Cruze that I used to have, which I don't want to think about because it's sad, and that came to a bad ending with that car. So next question. Basically it stopped working, and I threw a tantrum and left the keys in the car, and it got stolen and trashed, and then my mom had to deal with it. So anyway, let's not talk about the Chevy Cruze, but it was a nice car. It really was. I liked that car until it stopped working. Next question. What animals have you seen in the wild? I've seen the normal animals: raccoons, skunks, squirrels, chipmunks. I thought I saw a baby mole like a month or two ago. There was a little thing crawling in the leaves, and it came running out, and it looked like it was a mouse. It was like the size of a mouse, but it had a short, stubby little tail and a little mole nose. So I think it was a baby mole, but I'm not entirely sure. Or it was just a really messed up mouse. I don't know. Next question. If you could live in any city, where would you choose? I've kind of answered this question before, but I'd love the idea of living in Manhattan, but I don't want to live in America because gun violence, transphobia, and lack of healthcare. So instead, I'd rather live in Toronto, which is the poor man's Manhattan. But I'm still too poor to even live in Toronto, so... Next question. Do you think humans have already made contact with extraterrestrial beings? No, I think the universe is way too big, and I do believe that there are aliens. I think it's improbable that we are the only sentient creatures in the universe, that Earth is the only planet of all of the bajillion planets out there that happens to have life, intelligent life. Like, it just seems impossible that we're the only intelligent creatures in the universe. So I do think that there are extraterrestrial beings, but I don't think any of them have made contact with us, and I don't think any of them have the means to make contact with us, because again, the universe is just so big and space travel is just so complicated. And I don't know, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there are extraterrestrial beings who are incredibly advanced and who have mastered space travel and have been able to visit our planet. But if they have, I don't think that they built the pyramids or anything like that. I think if they did come, they probably would just come to observe and probably saw how messed up we are and said, never mind, let's go find a different planet. These people suck. Next question. Are you a heavy or a light sleeper? I'm a pretty light sleeper. I wake up pretty easily, and I wake up frequently. I very rarely have a continuous 8 hours of sleep. I'll usually wake up a couple times during the night, which I don't know if that's particularly healthy, but that's just how I am. I don't know how to have a continuous night's sleep, so That's just how it is. I remember I used to be a heavier sleeper than I am now. At one point, when I was a kid, I slept through my mom vacuuming, which surprised me when I woke up and she told me she'd vacuumed. I was like, what? I didn't hear that at all. And then the one time I slept through the fire alarm, so I apparently used to be a pretty heavy sleeper, but not anymore. Not these days. Next question. Did you have to wear a school uniform? No, there were no uniforms at any of the schools I've been to. Next question. When was the best time of your life? I've answered this question already before, but 2012. 2012 was the happiest I've ever been. Next question. Are there good and bad parts of your town? Yes. The good part of living in London, Ontario is that it is more of a city than the town I grew up in. I grew up in a very small town, and I don't like small towns. Everybody knows each other's business. Everybody's nosy. It's just there's a ton of gossip, and harmful rumors get spread around. Like, I felt like I was a celebrity when I lived in a small town, and not in a good way. Like, I felt like everyone was talking about me, but not in a positive way. And I felt like there were a lot of negative rumors being spread about me that I couldn't do anything to combat, and it just made me feel really small. And I didn't feel accepted in the small town. That's a good part of living in London, Ontario, is this is a more progressive city than the town I grew up in. It's more accepting of trans people and people who are different. And so, but yeah, back in the small town I grew up in, I was always very different, and I got looked down on for that. I was never really accepted. So another good part of living in London, Ontario is that, well, I don't know. I guess maybe the only good thing about London, Ontario is that it's more open-minded and it's more like a city than it is a small town in a lot of ways, even though it does still have some small town vibes, which I'm not a big fan of, but, you know, it is what it is. The bad part of London, Ontario is that we have a huge homeless and drug problem. There's a lot of drugs, there's a lot of homeless people. It's very depressing to go walking downtown a lot of times, and there's a lot of crime. It's very sketchy, but that comes along with it being a bigger city than, like, you know, I wanted to live in a bigger city than the town I grew up in, and I got what I wanted, and what comes along with that is crime and homeless people. And so, but even in the small town I grew up in, apparently there's a lot of homeless people there now, and it's just kind of an epidemic. It's definitely a problem that seems to be just getting worse and worse and worse. But yeah, so that's not specific to London, Ontario. That's just how things are, unfortunately. How do you think the internet might develop in the future? I don't know. I think social media is just going to continue to be more and more popular, and that's my only prediction. I have no idea. Next question. What did you buy yesterday? What did I buy yesterday? I don't think I bought anything yesterday, but today I bought a couple of chocolate bars from the dollar store. So, yeah. Next question. How much sleep do you usually get, and is it enough? Yeah, I usually get a good 8 hours of sleep, sometimes 6 hours, depending on how late I stay up, but I try to set my alarm for 9 a.m. I try not to sleep too much later than that, and I try to go to bed by 1 a.m., but, you know, some days I stay up a little later, some days I sleep in a little later. I used to go to bed at like 7:30 and wake up at 6 a.m. and that was insane. I don't know why I did that. But like I did that for like several months, and it was awful. Honestly, I'm a night person. I don't like mornings, and I just waking up at 6 a.m. There's just so much morning. Just the morning seems to last forever. So yeah, I wasn't a fan of that. Next question. Are you an early adopter, or do you like to wait until something has been tried and tested before buying it? I like to wait until things are tried and tested. I don't like to be, like, if it's a new piece of technology or something, I'll probably wait a couple years before thinking about buying it, because you gotta wait for all the bugs to get ironed out and all of the Yeah, you gotta let the first people deal with all the problems before you take the leap. Next question. Would you like to live somewhere that you have visited for a holiday? Not particularly, no. I haven't really visited that many places, especially for holiday purposes, for like vacation. I went to Manhattan in not university, in high school. I've been to Toronto. I guess I technically have been to Toronto on holiday. I went there for my birthday to visit the CN Tower one year, so that counts as a holiday. So yeah, I guess I would like to live in Toronto. I've also been to Montreal, but I have no desire to live in Montreal. I don't really like Montreal. I just, it's not. It's a big city, but it doesn't feel like a big city, if that makes sense. Like, I don't, something about Montreal just, oh, wait, Old Quebec. I went to Old Quebec in grade 8, and it's beautiful there. I would love to live in Quebec City / Old Quebec specifically, even though I imagine it would be so expensive to live there. But, oh, I would love, 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 love to live in Old Quebec. Yes. Next question. Would you like to own a robot that did most of the housework? Yes. Why, yes, I would. Next question. Do you own any original pieces of art? No, I do not. Next question. If you could have dinner or a drink with any living person, who would you choose? Any living person. I would have to choose John Green, because I love John Green, although Hank Green would be a close second. And they kind of are a package deal, so maybe I could get away with having dinner / a drink with both of them. But if I had to choose one, it would be John Green. Next question. Are there any English words which you find funny? What's a funny English word? There's plenty of words in the English language that are funny, but nothing really comes to mind. I guess penis. It's not a particularly funny sounding word, but it's funny to say penis. I'm 12 years old. Lord. Anyways, what are you having for dinner tonight? Probably Kraft dinner. I'm having some macaroni and cheese because it was on sale last week, or actually the week before last. So I got a lot of mac and cheese. So yeah. Next question. How superstitious are you? I'm not that superstitious, but one thing I do adhere to is knock on wood. If I say something and I think I'm going to jinx it, I say knock on wood, and I usually find a piece of wood and knock on it. Not that I think, like, deep down in my heart, I don't know if I really believe that it does anything, but just in case, just in the off chance that I might jinx something if I don't knock on wood, I always knock on wood. Or at the very least, I say knock on wood. Next question. What was the last photograph you took? I took a selfie like a couple months ago. It's been a while since I've taken photos. Now that my laptop won't read my SD card, I can't use my good camera, so I haven't taken pictures in a little while, but who needs photos? Next question. If you won a lot of money, what would you spend it on? I've sort of answered this question before. I said I would move somewhere different. Specifically, I would buy a condo. I would buy a lot of clothes. I would also buy a lot of food, and I'd give a lot of money to my mom. And I think that's about it. Other than that, I'd probably continue living for the most part just how I live currently. Next question. What would you like to see more of in the news? I mean, I'd like to see happier things in the news, but you can't really control what happens in the world, and the news likes to report on depressing things because that's what people want to hear about. People don't necessarily click on an article if it's like, everything's going great, or there's a new advancement in science that might save hundreds of thousands of lives. People don't really care about that sort of stuff. People care about the depressing and the shocking and the violence. And that's the sort of thing that grabs people's attention and gets people to click on the article. So I understand why the news is the way it is, but I don't check the news very often because it does honestly depress the hell out of me. So, next question. Would you like a car that drives itself? Yeah, I don't like driving. I'm not really a good driver. I never would have admitted that back when I used to drive. I would get really offended if people insinuated that I was a bad driver, but now that I don't drive anymore, I'm willing to admit that I was a bad driver. So I would prefer a car that drives for me, but I am skeptical of the technology, and I don't think self-driving cars are at a place yet where I would trust them. I think it's too early to start adopting that widespread. So, I'm not sure if I trust a self-driving car quite at this moment, but someday the technology will probably be pretty good. Next question. How has the internet affected your work? I don't work, so next question. What do you watch on TV? I don't own a TV, and I don't usually watch actual television shows or movies. I tend to just watch YouTube. I love YouTube. I grew up on YouTube. I am a YouTube diehard. I watch a lot of YouTube. Next question. Did you have a favorite teacher at school? I had a couple of favorite teachers. I had this teacher in elementary school that I really liked. His name was Mr. Galbraith. Mr. Galbraith. I don't remember how to pronounce his name, but I really liked him because a lot of teachers I felt like were not mean to me, but I never felt like particularly seen or appreciated by a lot of my teachers. But Mr. Galbraith, I forget how to say his name. I remember how it's spelled. It's spelled Galbraith. But I think it's not Galbraith, because he would get mad when people would call him Galbraith, I think. I don't remember. I think it's Galbraith. It just sounds wrong as I'm saying it. Galbraith. It doesn't even sound like a word. It doesn't even sound like a name anymore. It sounds like sounds, just noises. Whatever his name might have been, I felt really appreciated by him, and I felt like he was just a really nice guy. And another teacher that I really liked is Miss Webster. She was my high school drama teacher, and she was the best. Everybody loved Miss Webster. Next question. She was also my boss at one point because she owned a local theater, and at one point I got hired to be an actor in the play A Whole Bunch More Munch, which was a play based on a bunch of stories written by Robert Munch. And I played a series of characters in that play, and so she technically was my boss as well as my teacher. Next question. Where did you last go on holiday? I can't remember the last time I had an actual holiday. The last place I went when I guess maybe it was when I went to the CN Tower for my birthday. That might have been the last holiday that I had. Like, I don't know. What do you consider a holiday to be? Like, my whole life is technically a holiday because I don't work. So I don't know. I don't know. Next question. What did you last read? I just read a book called Blowfly. I don't remember who it was written by, but it was like a murder mystery kind of in the same veins as like Criminal Minds, and that was really good. I found that very compelling. It's part of a series of books, but and I haven't read any of the other books in the series, but as a standalone book, I still was able to understand what was going on, and it still worked as just a book on its own. So I'm going to answer 2 more questions because my laptop's about to die, and I'm too lazy to go plug it in. So I'll do that after I finish this video, which will be soon. What's the biggest thing you could do to improve your health? Eating less junk food and quitting cigarettes. Probably the cigarettes would be the best thing I could do for my health, but gosh, they are addictive, and I really like them. Next question. I could also exercise more. That's something I could do to improve my health as well. Next question, last question. Would you like to go hunting? No, I am fundamentally against hunting. I'm sorry if anybody's watching this who likes to hunt. If you hunt your food, like if you're hunting so that you can eat what you kill, then that's one thing. Like I kind of understand that. But people who just kill animals for fun, you're just hunting for sport, I don't understand that. I don't understand how taking a life is something you do for fun and how you're not a sociopath. You know what I mean? Like, at least take the fur, the hide of the animal and sell it or something. Like, if you're not getting anything in return from killing the animal, if you just kill the animal and just leave it, or if you just like hang the head of it on your wall just to show guests and people around you, like, look, here's a living creature I killed. Like, why? Why did you kill that living creature? Because it was fun? Why is that fun? I don't understand. Again, I think people who hunt for sport are sociopaths. I'm sorry. I know we don't say sociopath anymore. It's like antisocial personality disorder or something, but that's not what I mean when I say sociopath. I mean just like a person who lacks empathy. That's what I mean when I say sociopath. Because again, how is taking an innocent life something to brag about, and how is that something that you find so much pleasure in that you're willing to brag about it to people? Like, it doesn't make any sense to me. Make it make sense. It doesn't make any sense. If you're gonna kill a living creature, at least eat it or take its fur, okay? Anyway, that's all. Have a great day. Stay frosty. Bye.